the short tracks to the wide open spaces, NASCAR moves to Texas. From dizzying heights comes the big flag to the big track with big speeds, as Texas and Atlanta have their annual battle over which is the fastest track in NASCAR. Let's go back to the short tracks, have a look back at what happened last week in Martinsville in our Mitchum Profile. Jeff Gordon, problems early, came from 3 laps down. A little bit of bump and grind and one big thump along the way. An impressive comeback victory for Gordon. But short track racing over the last 2 weeks has taken its toll. Few have been immune from the bump and run, the beat and bang, the cut tires, the rent sheet metal, and the unforgiving concrete. Some drivers, most particularly Carl Edwards, who met up with Hermie Sadler, not just at Bristol, but again at Martinsville, are happy to be back at the fast tracks.
I don't know. Just very frustrating. We're ready to go to Texas.
Coming into Texas, Jimmy Johnson, the point leader. Greg Biffle hung on to second. Elliott Sadler up for third with Mark Martin and Tony Stewart, the top 5. Jeff Gordon's Martinsville win rebounds him to 6th. Rusty Wallace is right there with his teammate Ryan Newman. Kurt Busch continues his free fall down to 9th, and Dale Jarrett. The top 10 average 37 years old. How about that? Here's the danger zone. Mike Wallace, Kevin LePage out of the top 35 with Bobby Labonte, Robbie Gordon, and the number 14 team of John Andretti. They have shut down. Sponsor Victory Brands didn't send the check. That brings us to Texas for NASCAR Nextel Cup Series qualifying. Hi, everybody, and welcome to Texas. Mike Joy, Larry McReynolds, Darrell Waltrip with you as we come to what either, Darrell, is or isn't the fastest track in NASCAR.
Well, Bruton Smith owns them both, so I guess there wouldn't be much of an argument there. That'd be kind of like Junior arguing about 11 or 12 back in my day, I guess. So, but this place here, now this will get you attention right here. You've been used to getting on that short track and getting off the gas and getting on the brake. You don't even want to think about brakes here. You better hold her wide open if you want to go fast.
Larry, speeds at Atlanta were up from last year's qualifying speed, which raises the bar once again. Last year, Texas was the quickest track. Will they be this year?
Well, I think so. We've already seen, guess what? Ryan Newman was the fastest in practice, and he's flirting right there with that speed that the cars qualified at Atlanta. But remember, we have a little softer tire, more grip in the corners. Plus, for straightaway speed with those fresh tires, we have a little shorter rear spoiler that we've never ran here before. So I definitely think if the weather would cooperate, that we could see speeds faster than we saw at Atlanta last month.
Well, we're about to find out. Let's go trackside. The executive editor of Speedway Illustrated, Dick Berggren.
Oh, thanks, Mike. Texas Motor Speedway has a deserved reputation for unique and very special trophies. And today's pole winner is going to get one of the best trophies ever that a pole winner has won for a stock car race. This Beretta Jubileo, $65,000 to buy this gun if you could, but you can't buy it. It's one of a kind. And before it's awarded to the winner, right there, they're going to put his face and his car number on it. 300 hours worth of engraving. Now, that's something worth stepping on the gas for. Let's go to Jeff Hammond.
Well, Dick, one of the guys that's looking to be stepping on the gas today will be Elliott Sadler in his 38 car, last year's winner. And he told me today, man, I am so glad to get off the short tracks where I've really struggled. Bristol wasn't too bad, but Martinsville has always been a trouble spot for me, and he feels very blessed to be able to come out of there and come back to a racetrack where, as Dick was talking about earlier, you can hold your foot flat on the floor and carry it around the corner. And he's hoping to be the guy who can take that shotgun back to Virginia, be able to hang it up on the mantle up there in his hunting lodge and enjoy it one more time. And, hey, he is really excited, like I say, to be back here in Texas, Mike.
So a week after all the short tracks, we're going to give somebody a shotgun. Isn't that special?
Not a good idea. Not a good idea.
But, Mike, you know the good thing. We love short track racing, but now we're back in our element. This is where you have to have handling, you have to have aero, and you have to have that horsepower.
Here are the drivers who will have to qualify on speed. There are 3 eligible for the Champions Provisional. Bobby Labonte is highlighted as he is the most recent of those 3 champions, along with his brother Terry and Bill Elliott. 3 drivers will go home today. NASCAR Bud Pole qualifying from Texas Motor Speedway is brought to you by Mitchum, with you all the way. Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Pick Enterprise, we'll pick you up. And Polaris ATVs, the world's toughest ATVs. A look at the Speedway Club outside turn 1. Here at Texas, condos outside turn 2. And here is the battle. Last year, Texas qualifying was quicker than Atlanta and faster than Talladega and Daytona, where they used restrictor plates to keep the speeds in check. But this spring at Atlanta, the pole speed was 194.690 miles an hour, a full mile an hour quicker than last year with the new spoiler and tire package. So will we see a new track record today? Good chance.
Well, don't forget, Atlanta was in the evening, so it's a little cooler temperatures. Today we got the sun shining. It's pretty hot out there right now. I don't know if we can flirt with that 194 or not. It'll be close, maybe.
NASCAR coverage across the Fox networks continues tonight with round 2 of the Crown Royal International Race of Champions right here at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Tomorrow on FX, Nextel Cup practice, 1 p.m. And switch over at 2 to the Fox network for the O'Reilly 300 presented by Mr. Clean Auto Drive. On Sunday, NASCAR this morning on Speed. Then the Samsung RadioShack 500 is on Fox. Coverage at 12:30 Eastern Time. And Victory Lane brings it home Sunday night right here. Jeff Hammond with another look at the speed issue.
Mike, just listen to the Darrell and to Larry talking about the way the racetrack is as far as the heat's concerned right now. A lot of the guys were kind of speculating early on. We had a lot of cloud cover. It was kind of overcast. And racetrack, even though it was warm, was nowhere near seeing the sun it is right now. Normally, if you have a late draw, there's an advantage there. But today, the guys that are going out early, they may have a little bit of an advantage because the track is now just going through that heating process and will probably get warmer by the end of the day rather than being so hot right now and then cooling off.
Yeah, yesterday's Busch qualifying, Jeff, didn't start till what, 5 o'clock, and probably the last 15 or so cars had an advantage of full shade on the racetrack. We won't run that long this afternoon. Earlier today, one incident.
Darrell was talking. You're trying to run around here wide open. This was right after the track opened for practice. Casey Mears in the 41 car gets up into the wall in turn 3 and 4, and we saw that about 4 or 5 times yesterday in Busch qualifying. If you got about a half a lane out of that black groove, it was all over with, Dick. We saw several yesterday, and Casey Mears today in practice.
Yeah, Casey Mears' crew is still working on their car, trying to get it ready to do its qualifying run. Sterling Marlin's guys, they've had a problem as well. They've had to change a steering box, so they're really not ready to go. And Jamie McMurray's team has changed the radiator. So all 3 Ganassi cars with problems here this afternoon, but not common problems. Each is unique.
Thanks to Brian Vickers and Stanton Barrett, also excused from their qualifying draw spot. Last week's #1 starter, Scott Riggs in the Valvoline Chevy, is this week's #1 driver to qualify.
He likes being #1.
He was actually pretty quick in practice earlier. He was 9th quickest. He ran a 28:12. And Darrell, one thing that was going on this morning in practice in the Cup garage, a lot like in the Busch Series yesterday, is, of course, you can do it in Cup. A lot of the guys were scuffing their tires, putting about a run on the tires instead of going on a brand new sticker tire.
It's not uncommon to what we call roll them in, put them on and go out of the pits, run down the back straightaway, swerve them around a little bit, and come back in just to get that little glaze off of them.
28:37 on Riggs, 190.3 miles an hour.
And that's a little slower than he ran in practice. As I mentioned, he ran a 28:12, and I know in some of the practice runs there was not really a pattern as to running faster on the first lap or the second lap. We were seeing a little bit of both. He pretty much runs the same speed, actually.
So Scott Riggs is our first qualifier in Texas, well off the track record. Wallace, our second qualifier, is one of 11 drivers trying to make the field on time. His first lap is the quicker of the two, 28:57. The field's a little light here at Texas, 46 cars. Morgan Shepherd did not make the trip to Texas, and Kirk Shelmerdine entered but withdrew prior to coming here. So we have, 46 cars attempting 43 positions.
I would say this is a high-tech racetrack. Got to have your act together in every area. You know, aero, horsepower, and the driver's got to get up on the wheel here. So if I was going to pick a race, maybe if I was low budget, down on funds a little bit, didn't have my whole act together, this is probably one I wouldn't come to.
Let's check with Jeff.
Well, guys, one of the men who've got his act together here happens to be Elliott Sadler. Elliott, you coming back here to a racetrack you won at before, but today is pole position day, and hey, man, there's a shotgun up for grabs. What do you think about that?
I think it's great. When we were out here before, Beretta was talking about the shotgun they're going to give to the pole sitter, and man, I can appreciate that being an outdoorsman, so I'm going to give it everything I got. The M&M's Ford was very fast in practice, and the guys have tuned on the motor a little bit. I like seeing Doug Yates when he's doing that, and we'll see what happens. We're going to go out there, the track's changed a little bit. We made some adjustments for it. See what we got.
Well, good luck today.
Thanks.
He's doing a double duty this week. Going to run the Busch race tomorrow.
Qualified about mid-pack yesterday.
I think in an impound race, I would like that, you know, where they impounded these cars, say after the qualify tomorrow, they're going to get happy hour. That would be a good thing. But when you have happy hour, I think that would just be track time, which is always useful. But I don't know if you can gain as much knowledge if they impounded the cars like they did at Atlanta.
Now, we've seen our first two cars actually slow down from where they practiced. Now, Joe Nemechek in the 01 car, the Army car, he was second quickest in practice. I think this will give us a pretty good judge exactly where the racetrack's at right now as far as speed.
And one thing I'm noticing is the guys normally hang it. They go make a real late entry into the corner. Look how low Joe's getting into turn 3. Now, normally they would hang that thing out and run it to what we call down the hill. But I think they've got so much straightaway speed this time with the rear spoiler and the softer tires that they can't afford to hang that back end out.
Nemechek goes right to the front spot. He is 4/100ths of a second quicker than his teammate Scott Riggs.
But he's another car. He has slowed down a half a second from what he ran in practice. We'll keep up with this track temperature. We're getting it off pit road right now, which is asphalt like the racetrack. And right now it's about 103 degrees.
195 miles an hour off into the corner.
And that was at the end of the shortest straightaway.
You saw the brake light come on there. That's a driver most everybody left foot brakes. And when you get to the turn, even though you're not pushing on the brake, you will apply a little pressure to the brake pedal. That'll make that light come on. You're not really pushing it down. You just got your foot resting on it.
A lot of the Busch drivers yesterday, and finally I think Jamie McMurray came up with the right term. He said we do a courtesy lift on the throttle in the corner here.
A courtesy burp. Yeah, I like that.
Who's that being courteous to?
Yeah.
Yourself.
Oh, okay.
You may be the fabricators.
Yeah, that could be.
But I was watching the Busch cars qualify yesterday. Now I'm just noticing again today that the hanging it out is how you went fast around here in the past. But I'm just noticing now that these guys are making a much lower entry into both turns. Not so much turn 1 because you got to swing it out because of the D shape. But into 3, you watch the cars, how low they enter turn 3.
Boris said, talking with Jeff Gordon, Boris's schedule has been expanded. I think they were going to run 8 to 10 races, and now they've added a few.
But we've been watching Boris said he's been somewhat pacing up and down pit road. Now he's one of those go or go home cars. He has to qualify on time.
And so is Robbie Gordon. The start to Gordon's season has been anything but what he wished for, with non-qualifying performances and DNFs.
But these guys were tickled to death at Martinsville last week. I know they only finished about 20th, but it's the first race they actually saw the checkered flag still on the racetrack.
But yeah, you see the hop.
Look like it hit a speed bump, Darrell.
Yeah, I guess that's down where the tunnel is. down in the middle of 1 and 2. There must be a bump down there. I see that on a lot of the cars, and with an aggressive shock package, you're going to bounce the car a little bit. But what Robbie is learning is starting a team from scratch, and having your own team is a tough road to hoe, baby.
Daryl, is the day of the driver owner all but over in NASCAR?
I think so. I think it was over 10 years ago. Tell you the truth. I know I learned my lesson. I know Bill did. I know Ricky did. And Brett Bodine did. I think, you know, we can run the list.
I don't think Robbie will be very happy with that qualifying run right there. He was actually the fastest of the go-or-go-home cars in practice, but right now he's 4th quickest out of 4 cars and has slowed down a half a second from what he ran in practice.
And the second lap no better now. Jim Smith is listed as the owner of Robbie's car. There's a collaboration between the two, but it's pretty fair to say this is Robbie's effort.
Yeah, with Menard engines, and of course that's a big one of Robbie's supporters, and then Jim Smith helping out as well. It takes a village to run one of these deals, I'm telling you, when you try to run it out of your own pocket.
Dick Berggren with our fastest qualifier so far.
Well, Joe Nemechek, listening to you on the radio when you came in and you said it was pushing. Did that cause you to have to lift out of the throttle a little bit?
Well, yes. You know, and the track's a lot harder than it was this morning, and I thought we were going to be pretty good. I thought my balance was good. And my Army team's working really hard, and I'm driving the tar out of it. Just everybody else has got to deal with what I just dealt with, and it seems like the track's really slowed up, so I can't give away too many of the problems I had out there, but you know, there's a lot of guys that can still go fast, and I think the track just sitting for 2 hours since last practice, you know, it brings the oil up, the rubber that's on there gets hot, and the cars just don't stick as good. But luck of the draw qualifying.
Well, Joe is second quick in practice today. Let's go to Jeff Hammond.
Yeah, I've caught up with the man. When I looked up in the dictionary the other day, determination, I saw the picture of Jeff Gordon. I mean, determined last week. Great job at Martinsville. I mean, what about that comeback?
Well, hopefully it showed a picture of this DuPont Chevrolet team, because that was a total team effort. But I was having a lot of fun out there. They gave me such a great race car. You don't want to let that opportunity slip away. And we put ourselves in a hole there and just did a fantastic job fighting our way out of that hole. And, man, I never dreamed we would come back to win that race, but a lot of fun.
What about your car here today?
It's good. You know, we were not the fastest ones earlier in practice. I'm hoping actually that the sun coming out and the track warming up is going to benefit us. There's some guys put some serious laps up out there, and we're just working on the bouts. You know, we haven't been as good as we felt like we were capable of for qualifying at these 1.5 mile tracks. Doing everything we can to get better, and we'll see what we do here today.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Dramastic was the headline in NASCAR scene. That's a word that Ricky Hendrick coined, and it's a word dramatic and drastic that would have been appropriate to Gordon's drive last weekend in Martinsville.
I like words like that.
I know you do.
I might even slip that into my dictionary. You know, I was watching Dale Jarrett here, and his run just didn't look very impressive. He was very, very tentative going around the racetrack. He didn't get out in the groove hardly at all. Down the straightaway even, he was staying way away from the wall.
You know, it's surprising, though, even though it was not a real fast lap, he's the first car that pretty much duplicated what he ran in practice.
Last week was one of those days for Dale Jarrett. Car getting loose there, almost getting into Robbie Gordon. And here just getting loose and around up on the high side.
Kind of surprising, though. He still ended up finishing 14th, and he's kept himself in the top 10 in Nextel Cup points. He's actually 10th.
Yeah, Mama said there'd be days like that. She was right.
Ricky Rudd, one of many drivers with different paint schemes this week.
So Hot Rod was pretty good in practice.
4th quickest.
And yes, your eyes did not deceive you. Behind the Jeff Gordon interview, you did see Rusty driving a yellow number 2 car, and Mark with a strange paint scheme, and we'll explain as we go on.
It's going to be a good run for Ricky. He's going to shut it down 28-19. He goes straight to the top of the charts right now in the 21 car. Good run.
Ricky Rudd, 191.5 miles an hour for the Wood brothers. Bill Elliott is one of 11 drivers who have to qualify for this race on time, but as a past Cup champion, he is one of 3 who could, if needed, take advantage of that champion's provisional. 28-38. First lap is the quick one for Bill's Stanley Tools Dodge, 190.2.
I think that's definitely going to be fast enough, though, to qualify for this race on speed, as he would need to.
Yeah, he's right in there with Joe Nemechek. He was a 33 and Riggs a 37. Bill's a 38, so somewhere in there looks like that's about where everybody's going to fall.
I think his streak of 3 consecutive top 10 starts here may be in jeopardy with that.
All right, new fast man in town. Dick is with him.
And that's Ricky Rudd. The last time you were here at Texas Motor Speedway with Fatback McSwain as your crew chief, the year was 2002, and you guys had your best ever qualifying effort here in Texas, your best ever finish here at Texas. You ready to beat that this weekend?
Well, we're going to try, Dick. I tell you, these guys done a great job on this Renault Center Taurus. It's been fast off the truck. You know, Fatback McSwain, I think he's won like the last couple of poles here with Bobby Labonte, so I got the pressure on me today. But, you know, it's just got a great setup to put under these race cars at Texas. And, you know, right away, I hit the racetrack first time. We were in the top 3 and 4 all morning long in practice, and knew we were going to have a good run. I don't know how this is going to stack up. Track is a little greasier than it was earlier in practice, and it's giving up a little grip. So we're going to have to wait and see and hope this holds on for top 5, top 10 start.
Boy, that's a nice smile. It really is. Let's go to Hammond.
Well, the last week at Martinsville, we had a question about Tony Stewart's wheel and the wheel being loose, and we see the wheel break and come off the number 20 car. Well, the president of Aero Wheels, Skip Miller's here at Texas to try to answer some questions about what happened to that wheel. So, Mr. Miller, what was the situation on the 20 car?
Well, the situation on the 20 car, as I understand it, was loose lug nuts, and I think they've agreed that that was the problem. The real concern for Aero is the 24 car at Bristol. We had a wheel failure there. We've done metallurgical testing, fatigue testing, a lot of research both by Aero and NASCAR, and we have not identified any problems with the Aero wheels at this point in time. We did have one failure, but the Aero wheels per se are fine at this point in time. Our testing is still ongoing, and we're not ready to say unequivocally that there is no problem, but we are very confident that at this point there are no problems with Aero wheels. We haven't recalled any wheels. We did recommend that for the comfort level of the teams for this race, if they'd like to run last year's wheels, they should, and a number of teams have chosen to do that.
We appreciate you taking a little bit of time with us. Thank you very much. And guys, what they're saying is that you know, he's here to try to calm those nervousness as far as when you come to the fastest racetrack on the circuit. You want to make sure the one thing that doesn't give up on you are your wheels. So he's here to try to calm everybody's nerves about that.
There are several different wheel suppliers. Teams do have a choice of whose wheels to run, and as Skip pointed out, they did redesign their wheels at the start of this season. Here is Johnny Sauter's run, 28.76. Now he has to time into the field in James Finch's car, and he is the slowest of the 4 drivers thus far that have to qualify on time. Let's take you back a week ago to what happened here to Tony Stewart.
Of course, Tony Stewart, the 20 car, he had one of the cars to beat. You see as he drives off in the corner right there, the center of the wheel, you can see as it's rolling, there's no center. It's still actually bolted onto the hub, and again the speculation is that this was a loose wheel and pretty much took Tony out of contention. And I was telling someone earlier, you know, Aero wheels, Well wheels, all of them make great wheels. Everyone in the garage area races on these different types of wheels, but they always come out with a new and improved wheel normally for the upcoming season. It's the reason Richard Childress had a house rule. Our wheel year was from July to July. He said, I am not going to Daytona Speed Weeks with a new wheel that's not absolutely been proven. We would go to Daytona in July with new wheels, but not in February, Darrell.
Good policy. I always like to stay a great racer, Larry Phillips from up in the Midwest. He told me one time I like to stay 6 months behind in my R&D.
Let somebody else do the R&D.
Elliott Sadler, the M&M's Ford, he heading up for second quick. 28.327, 190.63. So it's Ricky Rudd, Elliott Sadler, and Joe Nemechek. Sadler likes the Lone Star State, edging Casey Kane at the finish. Big win for Elliott. Another runner-up finish for Casey Kane. Hermie Sadler in the Peak Fitness Ford, 28.84, and he has to time into the field, and that's going to be tough. He has just locked Bill Elliott into the race. Elliott will not need to have the champions provisional, Dick. He is in the show.
Yeah, he's not only in the show, he's the fastest man to ever qualify in Texas, not this year, a couple of years before that. With an on and off schedule like yours, Bill, do you have to knock the rust off? Does the crew have to knock the rust off when you come to a big fast track like this?
Well, the main thing is just getting up to speed relatively quick, you know, and with Chris and I working kind of on a limited basis, you know, it's more putting a puzzle together. The pieces are all there. It's just putting them together. You know, the guys are good experienced guys. You know, I know what I want, but just, you know, you practice in the coolest morning, and then you come out and that big ball of fire comes out and it makes all the difference in the world. And guys say, well, I've lost, you know, the car felt good, but I lost time. And I said, well, the track got hotter, you know, and that's just the way it is in this sport. But, you know, I'm proud of the Stanley guys. They're doing an awful good job, and, you know, getting this show and maybe do some good Sunday afternoon.
And I bet you there's a bunch of people here just because you're here. Mike?
That's pretty neat. Kevin LePage on track, trying to continue his string of qualifying efforts. He has 4 Texas starts. They are 37th in owner points, just barely outside looking in. He started front row here in 2000 and finished 5th.
And he's going to have to pick it up on this second lap. 29.16. That's the slowest of the 11 cars that has qualified. And that right there, unless he really picks it up, that'll actually bump Mike Wallace into the show in the 4 car. You can just see way up the racetrack. He's almost out of the black stuff there, about a lane too high.
Well, he entered the corner way low, and you can't run 190 miles an hour into the turn unless the thing's really hooked up and not slide up a little bit.
Second lap is no improvement, so that will bump Mike Wallace into the field. It moves Robbie Gordon onto the hot seat. Coming up, Boris Said, Jeff Gordon, Kenny Schrader, Jason Leffler, Carl Edwards, the next driver scheduled to go.
And what they're doing, we've been talking about the temperature coming up, and what they're doing, they decided they had it blocked solid. With the speeds here, if you could block it solid, that really helps the car down the straightaway and plants the nose in the corner. But as hot as it is, these cars trying to run 2 laps. Remember, this is everyone's intended race engine. They figure they'd let a little airflow in there just to cool that water down just a little bit.
And you know, Larry, you know this, every car is different. Some cars like a little opening down there for cow pressure, getting air into the air cleaner. Some cars don't. You can tape one up solid and slow it down sometimes. So performance is also a part of it, as well as what you learn in a wind tunnel. That's kind of one of those things you play with in a wind tunnel. What's this car like? Because 2 cars just alike may not like the same thing. 2 brands of cars.
Boris Said is trying to qualify for his 15th Nextel Cup race. He has 2 front row starts, both on road courses, as he makes the transition from world-class road racer to Nextel Cup semi-regular.
This would be his 2nd start of 2005 if he can indeed qualify, because he is a go or go home. Had a good speed weeks down in Daytona back in February. These guys built him a brand new car. They tested out here, but he was only 40th quickest in practice.
There's a great story in Automobile Magazine not long ago about Boris running 3 races in one day or in one weekend at Infineon. He ran the Southwest Tour race. He ran the Trans Am and the Cup race on the same day. It's quite an adventure.
And the schedule for this group, it keeps growing. They originally were only going to run about 10 races. I think now it may be up to about 14 or 15 races. That first lap, though, that's going to be borderline 28.86. And unless he picks it up, that will actually bump Robbie Gordon into the show for Sunday.
And it does, Larry. It moves Johnny Sauter up to the hot seat, and Robbie Gordon is in. He'll race on Sunday.
I think Boris and Frankie Stoddard in that group will be real happy with that qualifying run. I think Joe Nemechek had a really good point. You know, most of the time, of course, the schedule continues to change, is we go to a racetrack, and as soon as Nextel Cup practice is over, the Busch cars are out there practicing. And it, as he talked about, you know, the oils don't bleed up in the racetrack, but it has sat for about an hour and a half or 2 hours, plus the temperatures come up, and I think that's just really hurting the speeds of these race cars.
The fastest man in practice, Ryan Newman, scheduled to go out 22nd. Kyle Petty.
Just notice how high, just before he takes off. I'm sorry, go ahead.
The nose height, Darrell?
Yeah, I was going to talk about the ride height, how high it is.
I bet the next time he comes through that area right there, it won't be that high.
That's what I was going to point out, how high it is on sitting there, but look what it does on the racetrack.
What a week last week. 3 laps down. Gained a couple back on the racetrack and got one free pass. And from 40th to victory lane. After the stop under green, what may have been an ill-timed pass of Kurt Busch, certainly it was for Kurt. Jeff Gordon went on to pass Sterling Marlin for the lead and the win, his 6th at Martinsville in the Advance Auto Parts 500. But now for Gordon, he comes to 2 tracks in a row where he has never won.
And he's actually never sat on a Bud pole here at Texas either. Had some good runs, but no wins, no poles. First lap 28.26. That makes him 2nd quickest.
Sounds like he's just going to say, that's about all I want to do today, boys.
And that is it.
As slick as this track is, it's really hard to pick up that 2nd lap.
Hardly anybody has, unless you really had a bad lap.
So Texas this week, Phoenix next week, Saturday night under the lights, their first Spring Cup race, along with Chicago and Homestead. Only 4 tracks on which Jeff Gordon has not scored a Cup win.
He'll be trying to change that, though, quickly.
Kenny Schrader times the Schwann's Home Service Dodge into the show, 28.70. That is 9th quickest. Schrader was one of the stars of Fandango last night, an event for Speedway season ticket holders that had between 15 and 20,000 fans here in the main grandstand. And I understand one of the other guests on the panel joins us on the headset down below. Jimmy Johnson, how you doing?
Doing good, guys. Thanks for having me on.
Cool.
Hey, Jimmy, it's the DW. I'm standing up here and I'm watching the cars go around qualifying, and it appears to me, and you can help me out here, that
help you?
Yeah.
Okay,
Normally the guys really hang the back. You know, you get way late entry down into turns 1 and 3. Today they look like they're taking a much lower line getting into both turns. Is there a reason for that, or is there something going on, or am I just not seeing it right?
No, you're definitely seeing the right thing, and that's been the talk through the garage area between myself and my teammates. We're trying to understand the line that we need. I've been trying to arc it in like we typically do, and I've had a lot of trouble getting in the turn today. And as each lap's gone by, the straighter I drive in, the sooner the car catches the banking and starts to turn. You're tight through the center then, but at least you're getting into the corner with some speed. So I think it is changing for some reason. I'm not really exactly sure why. And it is different. So I'm lost with you, and I'm going to try to take another step that direction on my qualifying lap.
Yeah, well, I just saw every guy that's qualified, that's just where he does. He runs real low into the turn. It's not seemed to be hurting it, but it's just different than what we've done here in the past.
Yeah, I think this track has so much grip that if you do enter the corner straight, there's enough grip in the track to still get you turned, and the guys are still running great laps. So I'm going to straighten it up and drive it in a little deeper and see what happens.
Jason Leffler, 9th quickest, 28.64 in the FedEx Chevy.
Jimmy, a lot's been talked, and we just showed a highlight package of your teammate Jeff Gordon in the 2014, their comeback at Martinsville. But I saw probably a comeback that was even greater than that by that Lowe's team, the 48 car. Looked like you guys couldn't even run in the top 20 the first third of that race, and you salvaged another top 10 finish.
Yeah, that was a tough day. We lost 3 laps ourselves. One was on a pit stop where we just didn't get out in front of the pace car. 2 other laps we were passed and lapped. Fortunately, we got our laps back as well and had a good finish, but that was a tough day. We were happy to work through it, and you know, the crew guys and Chad and myself, at the end of that race, we felt like we won the race. So it was a good day, good for us to work through some hard times and come out with a good finish.
Yeah, great continuation of that top 10 streak. Our point leader, Jimmy Johnson, thanks for joining us.
You got it, guys. Thank you.
Jason Leffler holds 9th, the second lap a little bit slower for his Joe Gibbs Chevy, but he's in the top 35 in owner points, so he is locked into the field and presently is 9th. Robbie Gordon is in. He's been bumped in. Johnny Sauter is the man on the hot seat right now as Carl Edwards, after 2 disastrous weeks at Martinsville and Bristol, comes out to qualify his Scott's Ford.
His crew chief Bob Osborne told me this morning, he said, we're glad to get back to a racetrack that has a little more elbow room, a little more racing room. This will be Carl's first Nextel Cup start, as well as his first Busch Series start tomorrow, but he has competed in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series division here.
Thing looks pretty swift around the racetrack.
Fastest car right now is a Ford. Ricky Rudd, as Carl is 7th with a 28.44. Now that's just a quarter second off the pole speed.
And he's within about 1/10 of what he actually ran in practice.
This joint's a lot like Atlanta, and that's good news for Carl. I can tell you that. He's going to like the race here on Sunday.
You see him playing with that throttle off the corner, Darrell.
Another 500-mile race, plenty of time. Work your strategy, work your car.
Well, he qualified 4th at Atlanta, and the second lap a little slower, so Edwards right now is 7th. Let's meet the driver of the fastest Chevy in the field right now, 2nd place. Dick?
Yeah, and that's Jeff Gordon. And when he got out of his race car, he took a walk around to the back and took a look at the right rear corner. That usually means, well, did you hit the wall?
Well, I wanted to see, but I didn't hear anything, but I knew I threw up a lot of dirt over there off of 2. It's so tight over there off of 2 anyway, but guys did a great job. I mean, we didn't slow down for practice, which some guys have, so I don't know where we're going to end up there. I know there's some cars that are going to go faster, but all in all, it was a good balance to the car, good grip, considering, you know, the sun's come out. But I did get a little bit wide off of 2, and I didn't get out of it, but I thought I was going to hit it, and so I wanted to see if we had any damage over there. Luckily, we don't.
Congratulations on your run last week. My friend, you made some race fans, people watching you.
Thank you.
Jeff Gordon currently 2nd. When the drivers come out from the garage, they have to walk somewhat of a gauntlet to get to pit road to qualify. And Tony Stewart is all but overwhelmed with well-wishers, all of whom want an autograph. Where am I going? Where's everybody?
Where am I at? Where's
Eddie? Maybe Eddie's Eddie Jarvis, who works for Tony. Maybe Eddie's signing autographs. Oh, here comes Eddie in the orange shirt trying to create a little order, and without success. This looks kind of like the outfield wall in the grandstand at Fenway Park last night. Only a little.
We do have some race fans here at Texas, though.
Randy LaJoie in the Mach 1 Motorsports Chevy made the show at Martinsville. Was not around for the finish.
Got way up out of the groove there in turns 3. Didn't take that straight line into the turn like some of the guys were talking about. Got it out a little wide. Looks like there's no grip out wide's a problem.
And paid the price on the watch, Darrell. 29.62 is the slowest of 17 so far.
And Darrell, you can tell that car's not handling very good because that old brake light, she's been lighting up pretty good in the middle of the corner.
There she goes again right there.
Randy is a go or go home. Now this qualifying run Randy's making right now will be good news for Johnny Sauter in the 09 car because it will bump him into the show.
And LaJoie, that slide on lap 2 hurt him. Was no quicker.
He just had his hands full with that piece. It was really bad in turn 3. Looked like it might have been bottoming out or something and shooting him up the racetrack.
Here's another look.
Let's see if we see any sparks fly or smoke or something, because it looked like it did a little D-dido getting in here. Here you go. Whoop. Yeah, just trying to get down in that turn. That's right where you turn in, and that's a hello wall look to it.
At over 190 miles per hour.
Coming up, Scott Wimmer, Casey Mears, Mike Bliss, Ryan Newman, and Kyle Petty. Stanton Barrett, 29.52. That is a go-home speed for the Bishop, California driver, as he is 17th of 18. There are 11 drivers have to make the field on time. That will bump Hermie Sadler into the field, and the only ones of those that remain to qualify are the Labonte brothers, both of whom are eligible for the Champions Provisional. So it's a certainty that Barrett and Randy LaJoie are going to be two of the fellows headed home.
Yep. Unfortunately.
Scott Wimmer in the Bill Davis Caterpillar Dodge.
He was 30th quickest in practice earlier at a 28.37. This will be only his second Nextel Cup start. Last year qualified 32nd, finished 33rd, got caught up in an accident.
Looks free. Thing really looks like it's just hanging the back out right there. See it? Look where the rear tires are. Kind of up off the line.
.78. That's 14th quickest for Wimmer.
Scott trying to better his best qualifying effort of 2005. Qualified 16th at Daytona. I don't think that will happen today. Slap here through the middle of 3 and 4. So far looking to maybe a little better if he can get off turn 4. A little better maybe than the first lap. But lost it right there, I think, on the exit of turn 4. Pretty much runs the same speed.
So 19 drivers have made their qualifying runs. Coming up, Casey Mears, Mike Bliss, Ryan Newman, Kyle Petty, and Jimmy Johnson. Mike Bliss coming off turn 2 on his first timed lap, beaches the Coast Guard Chevrolet against the turn 2 concrete just past the end of the safer barrier. And he will not get a time.
Just carries so much speed there, Darrell, coming up off the corner, driving up the hill onto the back straightaway, and just ran out of real estate, ran out of racetrack.
This racetrack, you can let off the gas. When a car takes off like that one did, you can let off the gas and it doesn't do any good. It just kind of like it just hits ice almost. It just
turn the wheel or back off the gas, either one, it will not do any good.
It won't turn.
Might be a little debris up there. And you see the marks that Mike Bliss left on the backstretch wall. NASCAR Bud Pole qualifying from Texas Motor Speedway is brought to you by Budweiser, official beer of NASCAR, proud sponsor of Dale Earnhardt Jr. and the number 8 car. NASCAR officials still having a look for debris coming off turn number 2. Mike Bliss bounced off the concrete on his qualifying lap, did not get a time, so we're under a brief red flag here. Here's Jeff Hammond.
It really does. It really goes through your mind.
Yeah. I'm sorry about that. I'm sorry about it. We're sitting here talking about the situation on the racetrack with Greg Biffle. And Greg, what goes through your mind when you see a caution come out like this and you know you got to get ready to go out on the racetrack?
You know, it really gets in your head because you think about fluid more than anything. You know, I watched the replay in the 44. It did not look like he put any fluid down. So that doesn't concern me as much as a guy blowing an engine. They got grease sweep out there. You know, they broom it off or blow it off, but is the track perfect? And I mean, we're running so fast here. You guys know how fast we're going here. You go down in that corner, you know, you got to trust the racetrack as much as you're trusting your race car that the thing's going to stick to the racetrack.
Can you trust your National Guard car today?
Yeah, I think I can trust the posted National Guard car. It's, you know, we've been fighting loose since we showed up here. And like I told Doug, I said that's a good problem to have because we know when we untape it and we get in race trim, the car's going to turn really well. But right now we're fighting getting enough rear grip in the car with the short spoiler on it in qualifying trim. Even though we got a big sway bar and all those things, we're actually in qualifying trim, but still lacking just a little bit of rear grip.
But when you come to a racetrack like Texas, I mean, a lot of people talk about how Greg Biffle, he likes going fast. So is this a Greg Biffle racetrack?
Oh, yeah. I love going fast. And, you know, just keep the back of the thing under me and get in the top 12 or something. I think we pull the tape off this thing. I don't want to make any predictions, but I think it's going to be pretty dang good.
He's been good a lot of times at racetracks just like this, guys.
Jeff, what were you discussing when we rudely interrupted you to do this interview?
No, we were getting ready to talk a little bit of racing as far as what had gone on the racetrack, and what you were hearing was nothing any different than the question I asked him, guys. We were just having a little bit of fun, and you know, when you're down here on pit road and you're kind of hanging out with the rest of the guys, you know what I mean, Larry, the guys, the drivers, the crew chiefs, you know, you find yourself kind of lapsing back into talking about, you know, what's the car feel like? You know, is it sticking the front end like you want to? What about the bump right down the middle of 1 and 2? Is it upsetting your car? And that might be a good question for Greg. I mean, I noticed yesterday and even today during practice that there's more of a bump than I've ever seen down in 1 and 2.
Yeah, it seems like, you know, wherever the bump is, and, you know, Darrell knows this as much as I do going to all the racetracks, wherever there seems to be a bump on the racetrack, it seems like every year the bump gets worse and worse and worse and worse. And it does seem, you know, I was watching on TV just like you guys were, and that bump, you know, inside the race car and outside the race car watching it, the thing really upsets the race car. But it's still sticking to the racetrack pretty good over that bump. But you got to make sure you're not coil bound or dragging the ground, because if you are, then it springs the car up in the air a lot higher and it'll take a set over. But if it's down and you still got a little travel left, that bump won't upset it so bad.
Hey, Jeff, when we come back and do this live now, you might want to shorten it up a little bit.
That was a great rehearsal.
Yeah.
Nice job.
Well, you know how it is, guys. Sometimes practice makes perfect. In Darrell's case, well, you just get what you get.
So, Jeff, who's on trackside tonight?
Tonight. Yes, I do. I most certainly do. Casey Kane is going to be on our show tonight, along with Elliott Sadler, who we talked to a little bit earlier, and we'll have a few other surprises, and I'm sure that DW and Larry Mack will also have their usual bag of tricks to go right along with it.
We have a great lineup, and the guests aren't bad either.
Please put a car on the track, please.
Man.
Ricky Rudd's going to be on there tonight.
Do not adjust your set. Rusty is wearing a yellow suit. He and Mark Martin, who are both in their final Cup season, are both running retro. Well, Rusty is running a different sponsor paint scheme. Yes, still Miller Lite, but he's carrying the Kodak colors as well. So his car will be a little hard to find out there for those of you used to looking for true blue.
But I'll tell you one thing. Rusty and Mark both are impressing the heck out of a lot of folks with the way they're going out. They're going out in style.
And the rocket comes to Texas. Ryan Newman gets ready to roll.
Baby likes to rock it.
Another fella happy to lead Martinsville after this lap 1 bump with pole sitter Scott Riggs caused a cut down tire, which caused Newman to stop on track, the caution to come out and him lose a lap. And a lot of viewers asked on the internet, now why did Dale Jr. get hammered for spinning to bring out a caution to Bristol last year? Newman only got a 1-lap penalty. Well, Newman's car was broken, had a tire down, and the car, I mean, it's in the driver's prerogative to say that car is not safe to drive all the way around and try to get to the pit. But to stop and draw the caution, that's a lap penalty. Junior, on the other hand, spun to bring himself out of caution with a car with which there was nothing visibly wrong. So that's why.
Now, he ran the racetrack like we used to run it. He was out wide. Ryan Newman I'm talking about. He took her high, wide, and handsome down into turn 1.
And so far, he's qualified where he normally qualifies. He's up on the Bud pole right now, 28.04, 192.5 miles per hour, and he's going for a second lap here. And
yeah,
right
but
now,
I don't think I did. He's all over the place on this. That looked a little treacherous to me.
But he's still fast.
It might be, but that was a wild ride into 3.
Slows down about a 10th.
So no track record today, but Ryan Newman on track to pick up another pole.
And I think it's pretty safe to say that'll probably end up in the top 10. And that, you saw the graphic a while ago, that would be 14 consecutive top 10 starts dating all the way back to Kansas in October.
Let's see if Jeff Hammond's listening this time.
I'm paying attention this time, guys. I actually found somebody else who's still paying more attention to what's going on than even I. That's Rusty Wallace. Rusty, you're watching your teammate go around the racetrack, and you and your crew chief, Larry Carter, you're still talking about little adjustments you need to make to this race car. But hey, one other thing I need to point out, you weren't very hard to find today in all this blue and this yellow uniform.
Yeah, thanks a lot. It's a different car. We're doing a special Kodak promotion this week. I think the car looks really great on the racetrack, and I don't know if I look really great or not with his yellow uniform on, but hey, we'll see. Looks like everybody's about 0.2 of a second off. Newman ran the 85, just ran an 04. So that's 0.2. And you hear guys saying the track's tight. You hear some saying it's loose. Just trying to use some common sense, what I know from the past. And I'm 1 pound of air pressure for where I want to be, and I just don't know what corner to stick it in right now or to take it out of.
You may ask Darrell which one to put it in?
No, don't ask him. No way.
Take it out of the right rear. Right rear.
Rusty said the right rear. Take it out of the right rear.
Well, Larry said put it in the right rear.
Hey, no, he said take it out, not put it in.
These guys all think looser's faster, okay? To a point. You're going to never get him to say tighten the car up. It just won't happen.
Rusty's going to join us.
Neither will Darrell.
Darrell needed to tighten up a lot in his career, though, let me tell you. And you should have done that for him.
You better go on.
Back up to you guys in the booth.
You better go on down and get in your yellow race car.
If you want to hear more of Rusty, just tune into the IROC race tonight. He and Kenny Wallace going to join us. Kyle Petty, 28.60.
That'll be a show interrupted by a race.
188.7 for Kyle as Jimmy Johnson brings the Lowe's Chevy out to qualify. Here's Dick.
And when Ryan Newman got out of his car, it was a big sigh of relief. How scary was that?
It was on top of the racetrack, as the drivers like to say. Track has definitely lost a good bit of grip. Great run for our Altel Dodge. You know, we unloaded here good. We tested here good. And I'm hoping that'll hold up because that was definitely all that I had.
All right, nice job. Thanks.
28.04, 192.5 for Newman.
Jimmy Johnson, the 48 car, he was 16th quickest in practice earlier.
12 straight top 10 finishes. That one last week at Martinsville looked very improbable midway through the race. He pulled it off.
This car looks a little bit free, DW.
Yeah, well, it's actually the way he drove it into turn 3, which is what everybody's doing. It makes his nose slide a little bit, and when you crank into it, it's snapping the back out.
28.41, 8th fastest for Johnson.
That's about 3/10 from what he ran in practice. We've been talking a lot about Martinsville. I talked to Chad Canals. He said when practice ended on Saturday at Martinsville, they had the car set up exactly how they won there in the fall. It just didn't cut that fast lap. They went in there and changed spindles, springs, sway bar, everything. He said, Larry, we should have obviously just left it alone. But they did recover nicely.
Second lap, a 10th slower for Jimmy. There's a look at the times. He has padded his lead to the largest of the season, 160 points up on Greg Biffle coming here.
And that includes having that 25-point penalty from back at Las Vegas.
And normally, you know, at this point in the year, you 160 points up on everybody. You say, man, this is great. But then you remember at race number 26, doesn't really matter.
Be 5 points if he's still leading. Not one at Texas, but he has 3 consecutive top 10 finishes here in 3 starts.
You know, I don't mind if they wanted to level up the field a little bit, but don't take all my points.
Dave Blaney will be the first of the 3 Richard Childress cars to qualify.
It's a Blaney kind of racetrack. He likes these mile-and-a-halves like Atlanta. He'll run pretty good here on Sunday.
He was 10th quickest in practice. Looks pretty good right here on the tracker. Looks like it's going to be a good qualifying run for Philippe Lopez's crew chief and Dave. This team's starting to show a little spark. 6th quickest for Dave, 28:33.
Well, that would be by far his best qualifying effort of the season.
Well, he actually, Mike, remember he sat on the outside of the front row at Bristol.
I'm sorry, you're right.
Yeah.
I just keep thinking back to California with this team and the trials and tribulations they went through out there, and it seems to have really woken them up. They have really turned the corner since then.
And you know what? They even said they feel like that's the best thing to happen from them, because actually they went back, they built some new cars with a little different body configuration, and right after that at Atlanta, business really started picking up for this group.
So Dave Blaney is going to get what is only his second top 25 start of the season. It looks like it could be top 10. Now let's go meet the Martin race team. Here's Jeff.
Well, Mike, I'm not going to talk to Mark. I mean, everybody always wants to hear what Mark's got to say, but I've caught up with the younger one of the Martin group, and that's Matt Martin. And Matt, I appreciate you taking some of the time out of your busy schedule. I realize you got your cell phone on here. You got a lot of business deals going on, checking up with your race car, as well as what Mom's got you doing. But I understand last weekend you had a pretty good race, finished up second.
Yeah, we finished second. We did a pretty good job. It was 50 lapper, my first 50 lapper, but we've ran about 5 races and we're doing good and we're running with the adults. So I'm racing with kids. I mean, not kids, but adults that are married and probably have kids and stuff. So it's kind of weird.
Kind of weird. You talk about a 50 lapper, first 50 lapper. How tired did you get?
I didn't get too tired. I just focused on just racing and trying to do my best, and it didn't wear me out at all.
Well, he's just like his daddy, guys. I mean, it didn't wear him out, doesn't wear Mark out. Hotter the races, the longer the races, the better it is for both of these Martins. And hey, this is our future right now we're talking to.
Yeah, we all have kids and stuff. Just remind him the average age of the top 10 in Nextel Cup right now is 37.
And he would remind you, yeah, but I'm going to change that in a very short period of time.
You're right.
Tell you what, good qualifying run for Sterling on that first lap, 9th quickest, and he picks it up on that second lap, goes to 7th quickest, 28:34, one of the very few cars that has picked up on that second lap.
Marlin cars are in the 30s anyway. Let's say there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 cars in the 30s right now.
Marlin is the second fastest Dodge behind Ryan Newman. And it's like somebody lit a fire under him the last few races.
I would say so, but you're right, Darrell. We've had over half the field qualify, and it's with less than 6/10 separating Ricky Rudd back to Randy LaJoy, who right now is 24th quickest.
Tony Stewart in the Home Depot Chevy for Joe Gibbs Racing.
Had a good race car last weekend at Martinsville. Unfortunate about what happened with his wheel. But he had a really good race car up there. Looked like he was poised to win him a short track race.
He was 15th quickest in practice, so we've been talking a lot about the new tire configuration we run everywhere we go, and Tony Stewart in the 20 car along with Elliott Sadler in the 38 did the tire test for Goodyear back here in January. A lot cooler temperatures when they did the tire test, but you have to do it a couple of months out.
Now his best super speedway start this year, 9th. He may better that with this run, 6th fastest with a 28:33.
It's about a 10th and a half off what he ran in practice. We've been seeing that pretty normal. Looks like this lap here is going to be quite a bit slower though for Tony.
Yeah, you could hear the engine and way out of the throttle. Much longer on this lap than he was in the first one, getting into turn 3 particularly.
Stewart, 3rd fastest of the Chevys and 6th overall. Last week at Martinsville started out as a day to remember for Tony, making this bold move on Wallace and Mayfield to move up behind teammate Bobby Labonte. But things came undone. The center broke out of the right front wheel, putting Stewart well down the list. Travis Quaffle in the Jasper Engines Dodge, 13th quickest, 28:53. And he's the 4th fastest Dodge. Greg Biffle up next in the posted Ford. Coming up, Mayfield, Wallace, Kenseth, and Martin.
3rd quick on the Biff. Jumped right up there. One and done.
Just 100th behind, or 200ths behind Ricky Rudd.
Came close to backing up what he ran in practice, about a half a tenth off, but good run for Greg, over 191 miles per hour. He knew that was about as fast as he was going to go.
Any rookies in the building? Hammond?
Yeah. You got to be careful right now when you talk about the rookie here, because he's still thinking that he's going to get you sooner or later, Darrell. That's DW's always talking about you, rookie. I mean, what do you think about that nickname he stuck on?
Now look, I'm going to be nice after Martinsville. I'm not going to say anything because
thank you.
I want to keep Darrell on my good side. He's always got the last word up there, so we got to be somewhat nice. But I don't know. That's probably fair for what 70-year-old man to call me a rookie. How old is he? About that.
I'm not going to go there. I mean, since you guys are trying to keep it halfway clean here, I mean, it's like even Darrell said, thank you for that.
Yeah. Well, it's all fun and games. We just like to have a good time and enjoy what we do, and that's one thing I've learned more in my Nextel Cup Series career is to have fun and enjoy what you do, because you won't get to do it forever.
How about this 29 car today?
Well, I don't know how it's going to qualify. You know, we kind of went towards the setup that the 07 had in there, and he's been running pretty good and came here and tested. So we didn't get a whole lot of time on it, so we're kind of rolling the dice a little bit here, but hopefully it'll be all right. Get this GM Goodwin Chevrolet somewhere up towards the front.
Well, let's go back up to the rookie right now, and I think right now Jeremy Mayfield disqualified 2nd in the 19 car. So pretty strong performance right now by that Dodge all front row.
Mayfield missed the pole by just 2/100ths of a second. He is a past pole winner here. Second lap's going to be slower, but that's quite an effort.
Yeah, it is. And I talked to Slugger Labby, his crew chief, and what's been going on with this race team. In the last 2 weeks, this team has tested at Kentucky twice. They went to Caraway and Ashburn, North Carolina to test for Martinsville and to Phoenix. And they've been working totally on aero on their car. And I think it's starting to pay off. He had a great race car last week at Martinsville and had a tire problem along with speeding on pit road.
It's another team that seems just on the verge. Speed Fantasy Cup Auto Racing, Racing Edge. If you sign up by April 23rd, you have a chance to win $2,500. No entry fee required. Log on to speedtv.com. Rusty Wallace, 10 spots better in the points than when he came into Texas in either of the last 2 seasons.
Been doing a good job this year. I mean, the short tracks couldn't have come at a better time for him. Got a lot of good momentum out of Bristol and Martinsville. Again, he and Mark have just been so proud of both of them, the job they're doing this year. Pretty car. I like that yellow.
And I read earlier in the week that part of what this is several companies that's affiliated with Penske Racing wanted to be a part of Rusty's last call. Again, this will be Rusty Wallace's and Mark Martin's last Nextel Cup race here at Texas, and Kodak wanted to be part of that. Last spring race, because we will be coming back here in the fall.
They must have fixed the car the way Larry wanted to.
28-23, fifth fastest.
I believe Rusty says, you know what, boys, that's all she had. Pretty good effort, though.
Hammond, go find him and ask him which way they went.
Now, wait a minute. Do I look like your errand boy?
No, well, no, you're working the pits, aren't you? Real men working the pits,
That's
don't
right. Real men working the pit, DW.
And
but I want you to
now
look
you're
here.
acting just as acting like a crew chief, talking back.
You know what? I don't believe he's moved from that spot this entire broadcast.
I want to see him talk about that green car and know how to pronounce it.
Garnier Fructis. Is that okay, Mr. Joy?
That is fantastic.
Hey, thank you very much right there. Brian Vickers is in a very unusual color this weekend, guys. When he came rolling by originally, when he went out on practice, it kind of blew me away. But they're pretty happy with the car so far. And I like a lot of the Hendrick cars. They feel like that this 25 car, with him at the wheel, they can have a pretty good run here. He likes this racetrack, as we well know.
And the name of that color? Well, if it's not chartreuse, it ought to be.
And that's a hair gel for men. They gave Neil Goldberg and I about a gallon of this 3 years ago. We still have a gallon left.
Follically challenged.
Man.
Oh, Matt Kenseth.
Man, he was up off the groove there, up out of the loose stuff.
Matt has a win and a top 5 here. He won here from 31st. His best lap here, his best qualifying lap here, 13th fastest.
Larry, the reason they gave that to you and Neil was to hold the glare down. Didn't have anything to do with the hair. It was glare.
You work with some of the ones I worked with and see how much hair you have left.
And that hasn't improved much either, has it?
All right, Kenseth is 27th on his first lap. This lap looks like it's going to be better.
Yeah, he was in big trouble there off turn 2 on that first one.
And he picks up, but not as much as you might think, just up to 26th for the DeWalt Ford.
I think based on what happened to him right here,
he was on the verge of the same thing happening that happened to Mike Bliss earlier.
Yeah, that's hard to overcome on a qualifying run. You lose so much momentum and confidence.
Dick Berggren.
Well, back in 1998. Big pole day for you. First time ever here at Texas Motor Speedway. Fast car here, second quick so far. What do you got for him on Sunday?
And we got a great race car here. Our Dodge really running good all day and barely missed it. You know, it's 2 100s, whatever, and we slid the nose a little bit more than what we needed to there, but still a great effort from the guys and all the guys in the engine shop, everybody at the race shop. Everybody just been working hard, and it's starting to show. You know, we're starting to find the balance we're looking for, and our car's running good every week, and that's what we needed. Good starting spot and be in good shape on Sunday.
That's right. Fast at Martinsville, fast here, 2 very different racetracks. Congratulations.
Yeah, that's a 28.04 to a 28.06. Yes. That is just almost immeasurable.
Here is Mark Martin. Yes, this is the Viagra Ford, but it's a retro paint scheme that goes back, gosh, about 20 years.
Well, 1989, he started driving for Roush Racing in '88, but he won his very first Nextel Cup race at Rockingham. That's the paint scheme right there. 28.39 for Mark. That puts him 14th quickest right now. He has 1 win here back in 1998. In fact, Roush Racing has 3 wins here in 8 races with 3 different drivers. Burton Kenseth and Mark Martin.
Second lap falls off only about 6 100ths. So Mark right now is 14th next to Bill Elliott. Mark likes Texas. 3 out of 4 in the Busch Series, 1 out of 8 in Cup.
And he's racing tomorrow in the Busch race. He will be the car to beat.
Kyle Busch in the Kellogg's Delphi Chevrolet redeems himself from yesterday's Busch Series qualifying crash with this lap. Kyle is in the show with a 28.76. He is 25th fastest. Here's what happened yesterday.
I just think back to last year here. He wrecked 2 cars trying to qualify for this race. And he was on that's the 3rd one right there. So getting a lap in today was a big accomplishment.
You can just see he was way up the racetrack, right there at the apex of turn 2, and the car just came around with him.
Jamie McMurray in the Texaco Haviland Dodge completes his run at 28.71. 23rd fastest, another of the retro paint schemes for what was originally known as the Texas Oil Company, or Texaco.
Yeah, it's the logo they used from 1913 to 1935 called Shine On.
Here's Jeff.
Last year, guys, he was second. Last week he was second. This Sunday, can you be second to no one?
Yeah, I sure hope so. You know, it's pretty encouraging we see Jeremy qualify good like that, and just as hard as everybody's been working at Evernham Motorsports to get these cars, these Dodge Chargers, better, and our engines are pretty darn good right now too. So we'll see what happens. I think we got a shot at the pole today, and Sunday hopefully we don't run second.
Well, coming off that second place finish at Martinsville last week, was that a surprise to you? I mean, what did that do for your confidence coming in here?
Well, it was definitely a surprise to run that well. I knew, we didn't qualify very good, but I knew after practice that if I didn't hurt the car too bad throughout the race, we had a shot at a top 5. It felt that good. So it was a surprise to run second, but it was also pretty cool to do that with as good as Jeff Gordon is there to run that close to him.
Well, guys, don't be surprised to see this guy in victory lane on Sunday.
Thanks, Jeff. Here, this will pretty much set for us the going home situation. Carrying the GMAC colors is Terry Labonte.
He got way high both laps coming to get the green, and then on his green flag on his first qualifying lap off of turn 4 there. I think it really hurt his lap time. He had to get out of the throttle.
99 Texas race winner and 2000 Texas pole winner. Now, he is just a tick of the watch slower than Boris said right now.
Can't get the car down right there. It's just taking off with him. Might pick up a tad on this lap, but it's going to be close.
He loses a lot from the center of 3 and 4 off.
Did he pick it up, or did he bump Boris into the race? Boris will race on Sunday.
Terry's car just really was bad off of turn 4 that time.
Because Terry Labonte is one spot behind Boris said right now, Boris is in the race. Terry could take the champion's provisional if needed, unless his brother Bobby needs it, in which case Terry would have to go home.
The bottom line, Terry Labonte needs Bobby Labonte to run real fast.
Correct. Kurt Busch, the Nextel Cup champion. We talked about a free fall in the point standings, not of his doing, but he has gone from 1st to 9th since California, with 3 somewhat disastrous finishes.
Yeah, you know, Bristol and Martinsville, those are 2 racetracks. Bristol obviously is his track, and in Martinsville he's done really well there. So 2 places where he expected to do well and gain points, did terribly and lost points.
And he was running well at both races as he was in Atlanta when he had the engine problem.
Whoa, he's way up out of the groove too, man. I mean, that sun, you know what it is, Larry? I just thought about it. That sun is setting right on the 3rd and 4th turn right now, and I bet it's really put a lot of heat in the 4th turn.
16th fastest at a 28.44, and he's had enough.
Yeah, that was a scary little ride off turn 4 right there.
Considering what that car looked like, 16th quickest is pretty darn good.
Yeah,
real good.
Coming up, Kevin Harvick, Brian Vickers, Jeff Burton, Michael Waltrip, Casey Kane, Bobby Labonte, Dale Jr., Jeff Green, and Bobby Hamilton Jr. Fun Pole qualifying from Texas Motor Speedway is brought to you by WinFuel, the first ever multi-Vito win. Casey Mears, who crashed earlier in practice, 25th on his first lap, 28.72, but Darrell didn't look pretty.
No, off of turn 4 again. The last 3 cars that have gone out to qualify have struggled to get off of turn 4, and I think it's the sun setting on that turn right there and has really heated it up and caused it to lose a lot of grip.
It did look better than what happened this morning to Casey, however.
It's way up the hill, out of the groove. Car just went straight into the outside wall there in turn 4.
Yeah, you saw there, I mean, the car really just would not turn. He got in there a little hot. And up the hill it went.
Right now he's qualified 25th. If they indeed presented that car to qualifying inspection with their race motor, they will be able to start where they qualified, since it happened before qualifying.
Kevin Harvick, the GM Goodwrench Chevrolet.
You know, he had a good car last week at Martinsville and had some mechanical issues, but he was going to put together 2 really good back-to-back weekends, which would have been good for RCR and this whole crowd because they really needed it.
Daryl, I was talking to his group earlier. They were pretty confused what happened to that car at Martinsville. It all had to do with the throwout bearing was stuck. That releases the clutch.
His teammate Dave Blaney right now is 10th.
Won the Busch race here in 2001. See what old Kevin can do.
15th, 28.39, and he shuts it down. Let's have a look at what happened to Harvick last week.
Comes into the pits on a pit stop, and he just never can get the car back in gear, can't get it to go. His teammate Blaney comes around and pushes him and knocks his grill in, Blaney's grill in. The car still won't go.
They finally took it to the garage area and went to work on it, and just trying to get back out there and make as many laps as they possibly could.
Now let's update the Labonte situation for the home state favorites. Terry and Bobby Labonte will both be in the race on Sunday. If Bobby is faster than Terry, Terry gets the 43rd spot in the field on time. If Bobby is slower, he bumps Terry into the field, and Bobby takes the champion's provisional. But they will both race on Sunday. Garnier Fructis. That's a very French-sounding name, and it's a very bright color on Brian Vickers, number 25.
And this qualifying run for Brian Vickers, it's pretty much for pit selection only, and it looks like so far a pretty decent run. This team had engine woes in practice, had to change engines because the way the engine rule is, they will have to go to the rear of the field, but try to get a good pit selection here.
He had her down into turn 1 really well, but he didn't get her off of turn 2 too hot. I think possibly even had to get up out of the throttle because they lost a lot of time off turn 2.
And that's probably why it showed such a good number right here on the tracker, is how deep he drove it down into turn 1 before he rolled out of the throttle.
Well, it all adds up for 19th for the past Busch Series champ, 28.52 for Vickers.
He's having a little bit of issue right there.
Won't have any trouble finding it on the racetrack Sunday, will we?
No, or if he happens to touch the wall, I think we'll be able to identify that too.
And his boys told me you won't have any problem finding the pit crew on pit road either. I think their uniforms and helmets look a lot like the car.
Looks a lot like Rick Hendrick's group had some paint left over from Days of Thunder.
That does it. It looks exactly like that old car, doesn't it?
Sure does. 19th for Vickers at a 28.52.
What was that number on that car? 59, wasn't it?
46.
46, that's what it was, yeah.
Again, Brian will have to go to the rear of the field at the start of the race because of that engine change, but they'll get a decent pit selection because of that qualifying run.
And here's the third of the Childress cars, the singular Chevy for Jeff Burton.
I think he was struggling a little bit in practice. What his problem was, I never heard. Did you, Larry?
No, I didn't. I know he was only 43rd quickest though in practice. Not exactly where they'd like to be, the Childress cars, and right now he's the fastest. Dave Blaney came out here and tested for this operation a couple of weeks ago.
Burton won the first Cup race here, driving for Jack Roush at the time.
And that was actually his very first Nextel Cup win, Jeff's.
Jeff?
Larry, what was going on with the 31 car is what a lot of guys have been fighting with this racetrack. They didn't have the grip that they needed, and the setup they brought out here, Jeff thought would work. It did not work at all. Just shortly before qualifying, they were still inside there changing sway bars and springs, trying to come up with a combination so that what he's got up underneath the car right now is not something he's ever practiced with at all. So they have been searching, trying to find that combination to make Jeff Burton, a former winner here, happy with this racetrack once again.
Car just doesn't look like aerodynamically it's getting down.
Hear the numbers on that?
Michael Waltrip comes to the Sunoco race fuel pump after posting a 19th place effort, 28.46. Barely kind of gritted it out here.
Yeah, he did a good job really for the condition he was in there. That left front tire is rubbing hard up in that fender, and you can see it's causing him to have to jerk on the steering wheel. That takes a lot of speed out of the car. When you see those tires rubbing, they're reacting to the steering wheel. You can bet on that, and the driver's having to do something to overcome it.
Pretty good lap for Casey Kane. He'll shut her down. He's third quickest after that first lap, 28.16. And the thing that I don't know that we anticipated is the track temperature, and we only have about 2 or 3 cars left to go. It has stayed pretty much the same from start to finish of this qualifying session. We see a little shade in turn 1, and that's about it.
You know, something that's obvious, so that the Dodges are top 3 there. You heard, I think we commented about Ray Abraham said they had Slugger Labby, I think you said, had really done a lot of aero work and felt like they had made a lot of gains. When one of the Dodges gains, usually that's good news for everybody.
Yeah, 4 of the top 6.
Bobby Labonte, one of the Texas favorites in the Interstate Battery Chevy.
Good news for everybody on the Dodge team, because they share information very freely.
Labonte struggling to get back into the top 30, as you see on the graphic. Now he will race on Sunday. He has the Champions Provisional to fall back on if need be.
And he likes to run good here. You know, this is Interstate's home office right here in the area. All the people from Interstate come to this race. Of course, being from Texas, you always want to defend your honor.
He was 19th quickest in practice. You could see off turn 2, he was really having to yank that steering wheel to get it down.
Not too smooth.
Solid 21st, 28.47.
But that will end the streak because he's never qualified lower than 15th here at Texas. He's going to run this second lap, but certainly looks like it's going to be slower than lap 1.
Yeah, by quite a bit. And the going home list is set. Kevin LePage, Stanton Barrett, Randy LaJoy are the 3 drivers who will not qualify for Sunday's race here on Dallas Morning News qualifying day. Labonte falls off 3/10, so he is 21st right now. 8 Cup races at Texas, 4 top 10s, followed by 4 disappointments for Bobby Labonte. Maybe he can turn that around here Sunday.
Boy, and they've had a lot like, as we see Dale Earnhardt Jr. in 8 car. I think the crowd pretty much told the story who went out just on the racetrack to qualify. But Bobby Labonte, 2 good races at Bristol and Martinsville, and got caught up in a wreck and then had the engine problem at Martinsville.
Dale Jr.'s teammate Michael Waldrop just timed in at 28.46, 20th fastest.
He was 17th quickest in practice, got his first career Nextel Cup win here in 2000, his rookie year, and he got his first career Busch Series win here as well in 1998.
This could be big.
Looking like a pretty good run for him. Gonna be a good run for Dale Earnhardt Jr.
11th, trailed off just a bit there from turns 3 and 4 onward.
Turn 4 is going to get everybody a fit here. The last several cars have been out.
But Darryl, you know what car this is? This is the car that they brought to the Coca-Cola 600 for Michael last May, when all of a sudden Michael started running a lot better in the month of June and all.
Yeah, he runs second actually in the 600 over there. And folks, I want you to realize something. It is the same chassis, but from one season to the next, these things go through incredible changes, bodies and everything else. So, but obviously it's a good chassis.
Absolutely.
So Junior is the 4th fastest Chevrolet, 11th on the board in the Bud Chevy. And we're down to the last 2 cars. Jeff Green in the Richard Petty Cheerios Dodge, number 43. Here's Dick Bergman.
Well, Evernham's cars are 2nd and 3rd right now. Casey Kane is 3rd. Usually that's enough to bring a smile to a fella's face. But I was listening to you on the radio, and you weren't at all happy when you came in.
Well, I was hoping we could have been better than that. You know, we just missed it a little too tight off of 4, and I was actually freer in 1 and 2. So I don't know, just off a little bit on the balance. But everybody at the shop's done an awesome job over the last few weeks to get us a good handling race car for here, and the engines are running great too. So it's pretty cool. 9 and 19 in the top 3 should be a good day on Sunday.
He qualified 3rd here last year and finished 2nd.
Well, like Harry Gant once said, he says, you know, those 2nd places, they pay pretty good too.
Yes, they do.
Yeah, you finished 35th, 38th a couple of times.
Yeah.
You love 2nd.
Jeff Green is 23rd. with a 28-48.
In fact, second place here at Texas pays better than a lot of races pay to win. Pretty good purse here at Texas.
Oh, yeah. Big Texas purse.
And our final qualifier will be Bobby Hamilton Jr.
Well, now, don't forget about this dude right here at Atlanta a few weeks ago. All of a sudden, where'd he come from? Qualified outside pole.
He's run 5 Busch races here, Darrell, with an average start of 6th. So he knows his way around this place.
And this is the team that's right there on the comfort level of the danger zone. They're 35th in owner points, so they come in here knowing that they will race in this race, but certainly they need a good run to kind of cushion that a little bit as we head to Phoenix next week. He was 39th quickest in practice earlier.
Yeah, he couldn't quite get back to the throttle there in turns 1 and 2.
But yeah, Darrell, this is that same car that qualified on the outside pole at Atlanta a few weeks ago.
Out of the gas, way a long time right there. It's going to be a safe lap, but it's not going to be a fast lap.
.38 at a 28.84 for Bobby Jr. You'll see his dad in the IROC race a little later on today.
Here the open wheel boys are running pretty good in the IROC cars.
Well, this is a track where they've got a lot of laps. They race here a lot, and I think that's a big plus.
And you know how those open wheel cars run here, don't you? They turn in early down to the bottom of the racetrack.
Yeah, and they also run like 3 wide all night long, too.
And the ones that run off the backs over behind the backstretch on the dirt track run pretty well here, too. Lasowski wired this race last year without a lot of pavement experience. So Bobby Jr. 28.84. He's in 38th. And here is the front row. It's an all Dodge front 3. Ryan Newman, Jeremy Mayfield, and Casey Kane. Here's our Wind Fuel fast lap of the day. The winning edge to Ryan Newman by 2/100ths of a second. 3 of the last 5 poles have been won by the Rocket. Here's Dick.
And he has had to hang out down here on pit road watching 24 cars go round and round. And you've been thinking about that shotgun?
Yeah, that was a little incentive. I held it to myself there for quite a while, but that shotgun was really awesome. And not for what it's worth, just because it's a cool looking shotgun. And you know, just got to thank everybody at Penske Racing. Got a new car chief on board, Alex Query, doing a good job. Matt and everybody doing a great job. Car unloaded good. We tested good here. Look forward to the rest of the weekend.
And he's going to get a $65,000 custom engraved shotgun with his picture and his car number on it. Pretty neat prize.
That might hurt the value of it. You never know.
I don't think so.
That's pretty neat. Ryan Newman has his 30th career pole. We'll be right back to Texas to wrap things up. Well, the track record was in no jeopardy today. Ryan Newman has won the Bud Pole on Dallas Morning News qualifying day at Texas. 3 Dodges to lead them to the green flag on Sunday. Here's the lineup.
Look at our veterans there on row 2 and row 3. Ricky Rudd outside of row 2. Rusty Wallace outside of row 4.
Even in Texas, you don't hear a lot about young guns these days.
And that's a pretty good qualifying run for Jeff Gordon, too. Starting up that far, and he had one here coming off that win last week. Look out.
Keep a close watch on row 8 there outside. Mark Martin in the 6th car.
I know we say it every time we come to some of these 500-mile races, but 500 miles is a hard day's work.
And you know what? We've been here 8 times. We've had 8 different winners. I think we have the recipe for winner number 9. What do you think?
I agree with you. And when it's a hard day's work, you better show up in your work clothes.
Going home, Stanton Barrett, Randy LaJoie, Kevin LePage. Tonight, the Crown Royal International Race of Champions Round 2 right here on Speed. Tomorrow on FX, Nextel Cup final practice, 1 o'clock. And the O'Reilly 300 Busch Race presented on Fox by Mr. Clean Auto Drive. Sunday, Speed Channel coverage brackets the running of the Samsung RadioShack 500. Coverage begins on Fox at 12:30 Eastern Time. Sparky the Plug and Eddie Gossage, track president. Eddie's the one on the right. Making the presentation.
He's also the one with the gun. You might want to consider that, too.
Congratulations to Ryan Newman on his 30th career Bud Pole.